Today's video is going to be different. Typically, when I put a YouTube video together, I'm targeting a specific technology area. Today, I don't want to do that. And the reason is that last week, I received a question from one of my students. And that question, although everything that you need to solve that business problem is there inside the Power Automate Expression course, somehow there is a missing element. And that missing element is not about the technology anymore. It's about solutioning with all the new elements that we have to build a solution. Not a surprise. I would say most of my students are coming from development background, programming language, relational databases. So thinking Power Automate is slightly different from the way that you build other programs. So without even talking more about it, let's present the problem and see if you're interested. What I suggest is that after you see the problem, maybe pause the video for a minute or two, think about it yourself, and see what kind of solution you may come up with. I mainly say it for the students that they have taken my Power Automate Expression course on Udemy. If you have a solution, please put it in the comments, or I'm interested to see how you approach this problem. Regardless, let's get into it and see what I have for you today. Just a quick note before we start. The target audience for this video are the students that have already taken my Master Power Automate Flow expressions in 2 hours. This video is fast-paced, and it's based on the assumption that people are already familiar with the expressions, with the actions that we are using, with every single element that I've covered in that course. So basically, this video is just going to put them together and give you a demo of how you can use all that knowledge towards solving a business problem. With that behind us, let's start. So this is what we're going to build. We have an Excel sheet like this, which has a list of meetings and their date. They're all in an Excel table, and I've ordered them by calendar date by this field. So basically, they are all in order. You may have noticed that there are dates that there are more than one meeting there. So like on August 9, 2021, we have subject 3, subject 4, and subject 5. On 12th, again, we have 2 meetings. And there are some dates that there is no meeting. So eventually, we are trying to create a Power Automate flow that converts this one to an HTML view like this. So basically, we can say, okay, when I run this flow on this date, it should start with the Sunday and compile a calendar like this for this week and the week after. And it needs to summarize all the meetings on every single day under the calendar date in the table. Now, if you're looking for a challenge, you may want to pause the video for a few minutes and think that how you would implement something like that. Otherwise, roll up your sleeves and you can do it with me. I put the link to this Excel sheet that you can download it if you want to follow me in this exercise. But again, this is a YouTube video, not a training thing. So you may just want to watch it and see how I approach a problem like this. The first thing that I want to know is that what JSON object or what JSON array can produce an HTML table like this, assuming that we all know that there is an action inside Power Automate Flow called create HTML table that can convert a JSON array to an HTML table like this. So we're going to do a little bit of reverse engineering. As you can see, if we want to have a table like this, the column names are the days of the week. So with that in mind, and the content that we see as row 1, 2, 3, and 4, a JSON like this probably will produce a table like this. As you can see, the column names are the property names here: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on and so forth for every single row. And for the first row, I have from day 1, day 1 plus 1, day 1 plus 2, day 1 plus 3, and all the way to day 1 plus 6, which gives us the 7th day. The same thing applies to the third row of the table. So we continue with the first A plus 7, 8, 9, 10, and to the end. And of course, there is another row, but I couldn't fit it in this page. So if I have a JSON like this, and if I use create HTML table, it should give me something like this. So let's give it a try and do it inside Power Automate. So we can have JSON to HTML, and we can produce this final result. And then we go backwards and try to create this JSON from the Excel sheet that you just downloaded. I go to flow.microsoft.com. Just like before, create. And I want to create an instant flow. And this instant flow is going to be create 2-week calendar. All right. And I pick manually trigger a flow. Logically, you may want to schedule it, but for the sake of this exercise, I want to create a manual flow, and I want to hard code the start date in a variable. So I click on create. So manually trigger a flow, I click on, and I want to create a variable. So under variable, I go to initialize a variable, and the name of this variable is going to be final result, right? Let me just copy the same thing and put it here. Okay. The type is going to be an array of objects, and I can put the actual object here. I already created that inside Visual Studio Code. I just typed it in. I copy everything here and paste it here. There we go. So I have an array of objects that each object has 7 properties from Sunday to Saturday, and each row has different type of data. The first row has some dates, second row has some meetings, third row has again some dates, fourth row has some meetings. It may look weird based on your background if you're looking into the relational model, but this is what it is. Deal with it. Let me just save it. And right after that, I want to add a new step, and I want to search for HTML. And if I scroll down, you will find create HTML table. Let me just rename it convert JSON to final calendar. And the value that I want to get it from the final result. And when it is done, I want to send it to myself by email. So I click on new step, send email v2, probably scroll down, and I want to send it to myself. Subject is going to be meeting calendar, meetings calendar. And the body is going to be the convert JSON to final calendar. I just paste it here. Convert JSON to final calendar. I click on output of this, and I click on save. Of course, this is going to be a plain table, and if you want to know how you can style it, add borders or anything else to that, I put a link to another video here that you can actually style the table inside the email. Let me just test it quickly, manually test, and I just continue, run flow, done. And now I can go to my mailbox, and here is the email. So basically, it does what it's supposed to do. We have the weeks of the day, first row are the dates, meetings, again dates, and again meetings. So basically, a JSON like this will produce whatever we need. Now this is where the work starts, because we want to convert an Excel sheet like this to JSON like this, which is guaranteed to produce the table that we want. But how? And this is where the actual work starts. Before we get to work, let's take a look at our toolbox. We have a toolbox of different actions that we can work with variables. So when we want to construct the final output, we have different actions that will let us create a variable. We can set the value to the variable. We can append to an array, and we also can append to a string, and we will use almost all of them. We are working with arrays, so basically we can filter the array. We can use select to convert one array to another type of array. We also have join that can actually concatenate the elements of an array and convert it to a string. I really don't want to use it because it's not just a simple array of strings, but keep that in mind that you may want to use it in a different context. On the other side, we have loops like do until and apply to each that will allow us to navigate through the different items in an array and construct the structure or any format that we would like to. Now let's start the work. This is our plan. First, we need to upload the Excel sheet to SharePoint and bring the data to Flow. Then we want to create all the necessary variables that we need to work with. We group the meetings for every day. Basically, we want to go through the list of meetings one by one. And for every date that we want to add to our calendar, we want to see what meetings are there. Then we will construct the second row of the table. First row is already created somewhere in between. Construct the third row, fourth row, and we are done. Because as soon as we add the fourth row, the rest is already taken care of by create an HTML table. So let's start by uploading Excel sheet to SharePoint and bring the data to Flow. This table is great, but with tiny issue. The calendar date is actually a date field because the way that Excel stores the date field is actually date, which technically it's an integer that is an offset from January 1st, 1800. So it's a weird integer number that Power Automate does not understand. So we need to convert it to text before we can actually process that. To do that, I want to add a column here, maybe insert. And this column, I want to call it string date. And the value is going to be exactly the same value, but in text value. So I can use text function, and I say, get this value, and convert it to this format, month and day. And as soon as I press enter, the entire column is going to be the same value, but the difference is that this is actually text. I will show it to you in a minute when we go to the Power Automate. Regardless, I save this and I upload it to SharePoint. I've already created a library called CalendarLib inside SharePoint. So I upload the file here. And it is called Meetings List. I click on Open and it's uploaded to SharePoint. Let me just click on it and make sure the whole content is here. String date is there. Great. So we have everything inside SharePoint. We are done with the first step, upload Excel sheet to SharePoint and bring data to Flow. Oh, we missed this part. So I go to our Power Automate Flow. And right after final result, I want to add an action. I go with Excel Online. And I look for list rows present in a table. Here, I can actually pick up the SharePoint site, Power Automate Workshop. The document library is going to be calendar library. The file, I can click on it and I can pick up this meetings list. And I can pick up the table that is called meetings calendar. So far, so good. We have everything here. What I wanted to show you is, let me just add a compose here. If you're following, you may not want to do that. I just want to show you what this Excel reads. So if I click on it, I can pick up the Excel. I can pick the list of the items that this action returns. Let me just save it. And I click on test, and continue. Run flow, done. The thing says that I received an email, but I don't care at the moment. If I expand this compose, you will see the values. Okay, you have meeting subject, which is fine. Calendar date. This is the weird integer value that I told you. And string date is actually the string that I constructed. So basically, we need this one, not this one in our work. And now you see why I actually converted this date to string. Now we need to create all necessary variables. Let's see what we need to create here. First, we need to have a start date. So let me go back to Power Automate and create a variable called start date. Variables, initialize variable, and I want to call it start date. And I copy the same thing and I change the title of this action to start date. Remember that we don't have date type, so every date is going to be a string, and the value I just hard coded here, 2021 08 08. You may want to check your calendar. This date is actually a Sunday. So I just save it. I created the first variable. So this is going to be the base of my calendar. Final result, we have already created it. It's an array of objects. At the moment, it has everything. But if you remember, the first row of this should have the dates from day 1 to day 7. So from Sunday to Saturday. Let's clean it up right away in the initialize variable. So final result, instead of these values, I just leave one value inside it. Oops. So it is an array with square brackets. Inside that, I have only one object. The values that I have here, I don't want these to be here. I just take it out. So after cleaning it up, I want to add start day plus 0, plus 1, plus 2, so far and so forth. The only thing is that the final result is before the start date, so I cannot really do that work. So what I do actually is I pick the start date and drag and drop, and I put it right before the final result. Now, if I come back here, I can click on this double quotes that I have here. And in the dynamic content, I can go to the expression. I can type add days and open the bracket. I go back to the dynamic content. I pick the start date and I add 0 to it, which doesn't do anything. And right after that, I may want to convert it to the proper format. So I say format date time, open the brackets. The first parameter is going to be add days. The second parameter is going to be the format that I want to add here. All right. And I close it and I put the format that I want here. So it's going to be year, month, day. I just want to copy and paste it inside Notepad so you can see it. It's going to look like this. All right, let me click on OK. It's happy. So I go to the second one. This one is easy now. I click on expression. I paste the same statement here. Instead of 0, I put 1. OK. Then again, here I go to the expression. I add 2. Same thing, expression. This is going to be 3. And this one is going to be 4. And finally, 6. Right, there we go. 6, and I click OK. Don't forget to save it. And now you see why I don't have create the first row here. First row is actually created as a part of our variable creation. The other thing is that I need to have a counter for the date. Keep it in mind that I need to process 14 days in this calendar. So I need to have a counter that says day 0, day 1, day 2, day 3, so on and so forth till 14. So I need to create an integer variable that I want to add to it, and it actually counts the day to the last day of the calendar. Just like that, I come here and I add another action. I search for a variable, initialize variable, And it's going to be day counter. And just like before, I rename it to day counter. The type is going to be integer. And the default value is going to be 0 to start with. Next is going to be day meetings. This one is going to tell you how I'm going to construct that table. If you look at here, for example, if I pick day August 9, there are 3 meetings here. It's an array, but for this specific date, I want to get every single one of those meetings and concatenate them together. So basically, the variable that I'm creating now, it's going to navigate through every single meeting that is available for a single date and put all those meeting subjects under one string that eventually I can add it to a bigger array. So basically, day meeting is going to be the concatenation of all the meetings in one day, and on every iteration, I want to get that one and add it to another array, which is going to be week meetings. Week meetings is going to be an array of a string that will have day meetings for every single one of these days. So if that's the case, let's go and create a day meetings first. I add another action, variable, initialize variable, and I call it day meetings. And again, rename it, day meetings, save. And I don't need to put any values inside it. And finally, the week meetings is going to be an array of a string. So I come back here and I create a variable. And this variable is going to be initialize variable, week meetings. Rename this one too. Type is going to be an array. And what goes in the array will be decided later. So this one is array. Day meeting is Boolean by default. We need to convert it to string. Let me just verify everything, making sure everything is correct. Day counter is integer. Final result is already an array of objects. So we save it and we are good to go. So we created all our necessary variables. Now we need to group the meetings for every day in the 2-week period. And this is how we do it. Before I really navigate through the items, I need to simplify this weird values. See, if I go to the test, let me just quickly run it. Test, run flow, done. And if I scroll down here, see this compose here. Okay, there are lots of fields that I really don't need that. If I use a select function, I can make it a whole lot easier to deal with. So let me click on edit. And right after this Excel sheet, I want to add another action and I want to use select. Select is used to convert one JSON format to another. The values should come from this Excel sheet, the list of items. And I want to have 2 fields only. One is going to be the date. The date is going to be the expression. I will go with item. And the field that it's going to read is string date that I calculated here. So string date. I click on OK. And then it's going to be meeting. And the value that I want to get, again, is going to be item. Dot. And the field that I want to get is meeting subject, right? And I click on OK. So I have only date and meeting, and the table is way simplified. Let me just rename this select to simplified calendar. Okay. One more thing that you may have been thinking about is, why do we get all the calendar items? Why don't we come here and use the OData and filter the query for that period? Don't even think about it, because you know what, there is a video here. You may want to take a look at it and see why Excel sucks when it comes to using the OData filters. So don't even think about it. Bring everything here and we will use filters to take care of it. So we have the simplified calendar that we are going to work with. Now we need to group the meetings for every day in the 2-week period. This is how we do it. I add an action until, right? So I go with do until. The value that I want to pick is going to be my counter, the day counter, right? This is a bug in the UI. Most of the time when you come here, it says it is equal to, and all those things, they are disabled. To go around it, click on it on edit in advanced mode, and you see it actually says it equals, day counter equals nothing. It doesn't matter, just put a dummy value inside it and go back to edit in basic mode. Everything is enabled. It's just a bug that you have been living with it for a long time. I don't know why Microsoft does not fix it. Probably not so many people complain about it. Anyway, we want to say when the day counter is less than or equal to 14, correct? We want to repeat this for 14 days. Every single day we need to capture the meetings. Great. While we are here, we need to capture the meetings for every single calendar day. To do that, we use filter. So filter array, and the array that we want to filter is going to be the simplified calendar now, right? The value that we want to filter based on that is going to be, again, we go to expression, we go to item, dot. Remember now the fields are date and meeting, right? So I can say date. Okay. It's equal to, and now I need to pick the start date plus this day counter. So I say expression, add days. I pick start date. Okay, scroll down, start date. And I add the day counter to it. Again, because it's date, I need to convert it to format date value, open the bracket, and I go to the end, and I want to put the proper format for it, which is going to be year hyphen month hyphen day. Again, let me put it in Notepad. So I add days to the start date. The number of the days that I'm adding is my day counter that starts with 0, and every time it adds 1 into it and converts it to the format that we want, which is going to be the desired string format. And we are good to go. I click on OK, and now I have my comparison. Always, when you put the parameters in the filter array, just make sure you click on Save and see if it actually saves. Yes, it happens quite often that we have mistakes here. And there we go. The problem is not from, it's going to be format date value. Format date time. Update. And I click on Save. Now it is happy. So now, on every day, I'm filtering the output from that calendar, which is now simplified. When it is done, all I need to do, I need to go through every single item and get the meeting and add it to my day meetings. And after everything is done, I need to add it to the week meetings, right? So my favorite loop, apply to each. And I want to call it add day meetings. All right. The array should come from filter array that we have here, filter array body that it produces. And inside it, I can use my append to string variable, and I want to pick the day meetings. Right after that, I want to get applied to each current item, which is add meetings current item. But that current item is not very helpful, so I trick it and I go to the peak code, and this is actually what I want to work with. So I copy it, I click on done, I remove that, I come back here and take it to the expression. This is exactly the same thing, which is a current item, but it is in the expression format. And what I want from this one, dot meeting. I guess it was capital. Let me just verify that. I go up and it was here. Meeting, yes. Okay. So this is correct. We append every single item to it, and after all the items are added, I can click on add an action, and I can say append. And this time, instead of appending to the string, I'm adding to an array. And this array is going to be my week meetings. So day is completed, and I want to add the day to the week meeting. So I click on here, and I add day meetings, which is just produced. So let me just rename it again. And it's going to be add day to week meetings to week. All right. I click on save. The only thing we need to do at this moment is add another action to add 1 to our day counter. So increment variable. I pick it up, and that's going to be my day counter. I add 1 to it to move me to the next day. So I just rename it, and I call it go to next day. The other thing that I need to do is I need to use set variable. This is a good one. And after the day meetings are added to the week meetings, that day meetings, we should reset it to nothing. If I leave it blank, it doesn't work. I cannot save it because I need to make it 0-length string. If I put a blank single quote like this, it literally adds that value inside it. Now, how can we do that? There are different tricks around it, but one simple trick that I always use is I go to the expression and I say trim, and trim a space. And I click on OK. This one works. And I click on save. We are good to go with this one. So it adds 1 to the counter, sets this to nothing, and right after this, if I just check my compose, I don't need that Excel sheet. Inside my compose, if I check my week meetings, I should be able to see an array of day-by-day meetings that can represent my calendar. Let me just click on run flow again, done, and let it run. Okay? Okay. And this is the compose that we have. And great, the compose is empty. Let's see what we missed. Let me go to my do until. Okay, it ran only once. So let me go on edit and see what we missed in counter. day counter in the beginning is 0. We didn't add anything to it. We just came here. Do until, oh gosh, okay. It shouldn't be less than to or equal to. It should be greater than 14. So let me just save it and test it again. Test, run flow, done. All right. Let's see what happens this time. All right, if I go to my compose, now you can see we have day 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have 14 days for every single day of the week, and it has actually grouped the meetings per day. We have everything that we need to build our final JSON. We already have the first row. Let's build the second row. To build the second row, I can just come here, and right after my do until, oh gosh, I got to edit this. Right after my do until, I can click on add an action. I need to append one row to that JSON. So append. Under variable, I go to append to array variable, and I want to add a row to my final result. So rename add second row. Right? What I want to add here is easy. I just go back here to my final result initial definition. I just copy this object from here and bring it back here. Make sure you don't include those square brackets because now we want to add an object. In the beginning, we were defining an array. So I just get rid of all of them, right? At the moment, for the second row, we want to have the meetings for day 0, day 1, day 2, so on and so forth. So I come back here and I go to expression, put a space, and I come back again here to the dynamic content. Now, if I go down here, I can say week meetings. As soon as I get the expression form of this variable, I can just remove this space that I put it in the beginning. And I say, give me the day 0. Right? I also copy it because I want to use it for the next one. Okay. Monday, again, I go to expression, add 1. Okay. Next day, expression is going to be 2. Okay. Again, expression is going to be 3. Again here, expression is going to be 4. Five. And finally, 6. All right. And I save it. So far, we created the second row. Third row is going to be extremely easy. I can simply add another append. So append to array variable. I rename it to add third row. Name is going to be, again, final result. The value that I want to add is exactly the value that I want to add to the first row, right? Exactly this value. Copy. I come back here. I paste it here. This time my job is a whole lot easier. I double click on the first one. So this time is going to be +7 because we have the 8th day. It's going to be +8 is going to be +9. 10. You guessed it, right? 11. 12. And finally 13. Right? There we go. I click on update, and we have the third row. Save. Do I need to show you the fourth row? Let's do it. Again, I say append to array variable. Again, adding to final result. Rename. Add fourth row. And the value is going to be just like the second row. Select all of it. Control C. We come back here. We paste it here. Click on it. If it doesn't show you the expression here, don't worry about it. Just click somewhere outside it and then click on it. It's going to show you the values. So now instead of 0, we want to show 7. This one is going to be 8. Update. Did I click on? Yeah. 9. It's going to be 10. 11. 12. And finally, 13. Update. I think I'm done. Let me just save it. Let's test it manually. Run. Done. And I can go back to my mailbox and see what I got. Still, it's running. There we go. And it's complete. Let me go back to my mailbox. And this is the final result that I got. It's got to be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It has all these values and all those subjects from that Excel sheet. How cool is that? And this is the reason I created that Microsoft Power Automate Expressions course. Did we miss anything? Yes. Now it's your turn to go to the comment section and let me know what you think about this video. And that was it. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please put it in the comment section and let me know. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.